You were already broadcasting, so let's do it.
All right. Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for August 9th, 2019. I am Dave Slusher. I'm joined by Andrew Barnes, Cory Seering, and Brittany. Somebody I don't know is also in the room.
Brittany Vacchiano.
All right. And so we are going to do some, what are we going to do, Andrew? Automation of some form, New York style automation.
Spreadsheet killing.
All right. That is our favorite thing to do around here is kill spreadsheets. All right. But first, let us go around the horn with the longer introductions. Let us start with Andrew.
Hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Barnes, developer advocate at ServiceNow. I have been doing enterprise applications and teaching computer science for a really long time. Been on the ServiceNow platform for about 5 years as a customer a couple of times, an implementation partner, and now at ServiceNow, being your voice to product management inside ServiceNow. Awesome to be here today. To you, Cory.
I'm Cory Seering. I've been at ServiceNow for about 8 years. I'm a staff developer. I work mostly on the application data model. I help build Dev Studio, so hopefully you guys are getting a lot of enjoyment out of that. If you're not, please direct all hire to and I don't know, I like building stuff on the platform.
All right, and Brittany?
I'm Brittany. I've been at ServiceNow for about a year. Not as long as everyone else, but I love ServiceNow, and like Cory, I have touched Studio a little bit, and working on some new cool products at ServiceNow. Really excited to be here.
Awesome.
All right, and I'm Dave Slusher, also developer advocate for ServiceNow. Been here about 6 years, been developer advocate for 4 years, which is way longer than the industry standard, so the clock is ticking. All right. And what we didn't mention is that you guys are all sitting in Chicago in the brand new Chicago office, which I have never seen. So I was there a month ago.
It's shiny, brand new. Yeah. They just moved in this week.
On Monday.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic. So, in fact, we can see people walking behind you. So this is gonna be special. All right.
This is a special edition.
All right. Okay. Now, before we get cranking, let us go around the horn and at least three of the four of us appear to have the adult beverage. Yeah. Andrew, what are you drinking?
I believe this is an Allagash White.
Yes.
And I don't know any more details than that. I poured it out of a tap, and now I'm going to drink it.
It came from the ServiceNow kitchen. And
all right.
Cory also has the same. And
I have a sparkling water.
Ooh.
All right. And I've had a lot of very boring grocery store beers lately. So I went to the beer store this week. I got a bunch of just weird ones. So what I've got here.
It's got to be one of the clown shoes.
It is a clown shoes mango American Kolsch. For the next 4 episodes, I will grab one at random. I won't pay any attention to what I'm grabbing, and I will drink one. So that's what I got this time.
Awesome.
All right. Now, Andrew, tell us a little about what we're going to do, and then you can take over from the screen.
Absolutely. So we run the developer meetups around the world. If you're not aware of them, go to meetup.com, type in ServiceNow in the city that you're in, or visit developer.servicenow.com to see if there's a meetup in your area. So we've got about 55 of those. We have some routine tasks that are being managed by a marketing intern to help manage that process. And it is shockingly done in a spreadsheet, which kills me a little inside every time I see it. And so we just got our fresh new marketing intern, and I said, well, let us attempt to kill your spreadsheet with our platform that is designed to do this sort of thing for you. So this will be more practical, hands-on, actual ServiceNow, like direct development work than we generally do on the show. We've got a list of requirements for workflows and automation, and we're just gonna start at the top and start working through them. So So that's the general plan today. So we already have the integration to meetup.com because my component of this, was tedious, and I did not want to manage it in anywhere but ServiceNow. So we put it in ServiceNow and automated the crap out of it. So now we're trying to do the same thing for the marketing side. So most of our data model and the integrations and touch points are already going to exist for us. So we're going to be focusing on solving those actual business application requirements of workflow. And we'll be using Flow Designer in a New York instance today. This is just for everyone in the audience and in the room here. The general style of this is one of us, which will be me today. I will start screen sharing shortly, and I will start working on this problem. And you three get to respond to people in the chat, have banter with each other, tell me what I'm doing horribly wrong, give your feedback, and we just have a good time doing ServiceNow work. None of this is scripted. We've not prepared a thing.
No, we haven't.
This is as live as it gets, and this is how we do it every time on Fridays. There's no polished demo going on here. This is just real development work, and stretching some of those ServiceNow skill muscles. So I'll go ahead and start the share from my side, which shall be like this. All right.
And studio.
Of course, I am a ServiceNow developer, and the first place I go to when I log into an instance is I type stud and then I hit enter. Because that will get you into studio.
That I've never actually done that. That's my new go-to though. Stud enter.
No, you have to not hit DD. So stud and hit enter. So, and then we already have a scoped application, developer meetup. So that's what I already had loaded. So I'm going to try and make sure we don't reveal anything that we're not supposed to reveal. I don't think there really is anything, but so here's the spreadsheet that we're trying to kill. And so some of the things that this does is this person goes and checks to see how frequent the meetups are actually being done. And green would be a representative of that they have had one recently, and they're doing fine and they don't need a touch point. So that's the kinds of things that are being manual right now. Is this person's going to meetup.com, checking for events for each of these things, then putting it over here, and then color coding, and then doing the touch points, and then. So as you can imagine, this is stuff that we could totally do in ServiceNow.
I agree.
So in our Meetup app here, actually I can do this in Studio. So we have Meetup events. Come on, load up already. You can do it.
This is where Cory starts to sweat a little bit.
Actually, I want meetup table and just go to the list. Or not.
I believe this is a problem with Andrew's instance.
It absolutely could be a problem with my instance. So we will go to a meetup event and then sort by date and go grab, I don't know. Where was the last one?
How about Chicago?
We could get Chicago's.
I assume that you have had.
We have had one. So here is a meetup event from Chicago, and it records that they happen. So it goes ahead and gets this data from meetup.com and gets the event, gets the attendees. And so we're already retrieving this data that this person is going and getting manually from meetup.com and putting in a spreadsheet. We already have it in the ServiceNow app here.
Check one, two.
Hey, Andrew, can you zoom in a little bit?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much. I usually remember that on my desktop computer, but I'm flying on the laptop today. All right. So as you can see, we are already doing these integrations, and we want to do some automation to this. We've got a list of requirements that are some workflows that we could automate. So we need to pick one to start working on and then do it. So we've got things like onboarding a new meetup organizer. We've got onboarding a new meetup. We've got touch points with meetup organizers, like you haven't had a meeting in 2 months. Generate a notification and then follow back up. If it exceeds a point after that, then create a task for a human to go and interact with them. And send a notification with that task to the human that they have a thing to do. What else do we have here? So we have new organizer, schedule a new meetup, do meetup tracker. So here's that, poke them if they haven't done things. And what else do we have? All right, so onboard, group, person, and then the managing of the meetup tracker workflow. So what would you guys like to work on? We're taking feedback from anyone in the chat, in the room. Who feels inspired by one of these things?
I'll take the first group of. I'm assuming we're going by groups. I'll try out the first few.
I would say I would say do the tracker stuff just because the onboarding is relatively frequent and the tracker is higher priority.
I like this tracker idea. Are you planning on a scheduled job or just having a workflow context running and waiting for 3 months?
So I would not have a workflow context waiting for 3 months. What I would do is have a scheduled flow that checks to see if it's met criteria or not.
I've never done that.
So
I've never scheduled a flow designer, and I'm interested in seeing how that works.
Let's go do that.
I've never done it either.
All right,
So
I don't
That sounds like that checks a couple boxes. So let's do that.
Yeah, I love decisions that are made for you. So let's do the first one. So we will do organizer has not scheduled a meetup in the last 3 months, and we want to send them an email. Okay, so let us go to our handy dandy flow designer, and we're going to create a new application file. It's going to be a flow. Whee. Are you gonna also be angry? No, okay, thank you. I was gonna be sad. All right, so we are going to, the naming is always the hardest thing in doing development, right? What are we gonna name this thing? It's Meetup. Oh, everything's Meetup. It's in the app. How about
remind organizer.
health check?
Yeah. Okay. That's much better. That's way more creative.
So, because we're checking on the health of the things, and we're going to take an action based off that. So we've got choices of triggers. In case you haven't, we're not using it this second, but one of the new features in New York is processing inbound emails, and I thought I'd just point that out while we're here. So now you can start to use inbound email processing here instead of in inbound actions. I wrote a short blog on that already. We'll get more in depth on that later in the year. But those are really cool. And as someone who's written inbound actions that have 1,000+ lines of script in it, I'm pretty excited about this to be built in Flow Designer. So let us talk about the trigger. We want a repeat trigger. We want to repeat this probably maybe weekly, something like that. Feels reasonable. So let's start there. It's not hugely important this second, but something like repeat every 7 days.
Every 7 days in 1 second.
In 1 second, because that 1 second is important, because we're going to start slowly increasing it over time, and then it'll roll on to a whole new day eventually. No, Let's get rid of the second. Can we not get rid of the second?
I think we're stuck with it. I like this idea. What is
Wow.
3,600 times 24?
A lot.
So it's 7 days and 1 second. That's just how we roll.
86,400.
All right, so in 86,400 weeks, this is gonna go 1 day.
Shift a whole day.
Yeah. 1 day later than we expected.
All right, so what we want to do is we want to query our table, right? Because we want to, so we're going to look up some records. Look up records. My suggestion out there to the audience is right now, even if you're trying to look up just one record, Lookup Records is very handy because it actually returns you whether or not it succeeds or not. So even when I'm just trying to get one, I tend to actually use Lookup Records because then I can get the count and perform actions based off of that.
It makes it really easy to expand a process that you were doing for one thing to just do it for everything.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the interesting things we have to think about here is we want to go through all of our meetup groups and then see when the last time they had a meetup event is. So we're actually going to have to do a two-step process here. So we're going to need the meetup groups, which are, what's the name of the meetup groups, Dave?
Meetup. Is it not? Or is it group?
Go up.
Yeah.
Did I move it?
SNC Dev Meet Group was up there.
Oh, there it is. It's just called group. Lovely. Excellent eyes there. So we're going to get all of our groups first. And then is that the best way to query it? Or should we? Yeah, I think we have to start with group.
Can we do an event query grouped by the group? All right, we do them. That's probably too complicated for the flow designer.
So do the events by group and then see if.
Can we do? I don't know if we can do a group by in this.
Let's try. Let's just try. So we'll start with the event. Meetup event, and we only want one per group, really, but I guess it doesn't matter. So we want the date for it is going to be, what's the field for date? I think it's just date. It's before, well, we actually want to see if there's any that are, because we care about scheduled as well, because it's healthy if they have one tomorrow. They're still healthy. Mm-hmm. I don't have to send them a reminder to create an event if they have one scheduled.
You can do that with a date on or before and not date. Do a relative date for past 6 months and.
Yeah. So relative.
Next.
On or before.
And then we should be able to do like 60 days ago or something, or 2 months.
Yeah, what was our criteria?
2 months.
Was 3 months.
3 months.
So that's 2 months. 2 months ago. Or before 2 months ago. And doesn't have one in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Future what? Is there a time frame on that? Future 2 months, future 1 month?
From 2 months from now.
Okay.
Right? Basically a 4-month window. If you don't have something in the 4-month window, go schedule one.
Yeah. Right. So the date field, I don't think we even need the, oh no. Mm-hmm. This is interesting because what we're querying here are the events themselves, but does not have one scheduled in the future is not actually a a filter for what we're trying to query, that is does this group have one in the future?
Right.
Which is like a subquery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think might not be possible in the flow. Here's something I don't know is under that date, can you do the related fields?
What do you mean by the related?
So can you dot walk from that condition?
Yeah.
I can dot walk from condition, sure, but date doesn't have. What do you mean, like group?
Yeah,
So
I'm trying.
Get to group.
Yeah, I think this query. I think I might have. I feel bad now. I feel like I led this down a blind alley.
It's a fun alley though. So the query I want is a group that has had an event that doesn't have one within this 4-month window.
Yeah, which means the actual table that we care about is the group table,
Right.
but we need subqueries against the events. Against the events, yeah.
All right. So
And
I think we do need to start with the group table.
But I don't think that we can subquery in a condition builder. I think we're going to end up having to write a script.
We're going to do a query and then another query.
Okay.
So we're going to iterate over it. So it was group, which was
this classic difference here between like what I do every day and then what people building on ServiceNow do every day. Because I always reach for the script first.
yes.
Like I'm just going to write a script for this.
Right.
And it's actually really hard to get over that.
I too sometimes struggle with that. So we're going to get the groups, and we want to get. We have active? So we want active groups. We want to get them, and order is fine. I don't need to worry about that. Yeah, I think I can just get the groups, and then. Now I want to, for each of these groups, I want to do a lookup records because I have reported that and it really frustrates me. Why did we use
Lookup.
3 different writings for lookup? Look up with capital U, look up with lowercase u, and look up with a space or no
It's
space.
simple because some developer out there in ServiceNow wrote that record for lookup attachment, lookup email attachments, lookup record, and lookup records.
Well, I know why. I just like, but why does this? Why now?
I found
want to
myself
fix
in the
this.
same situation earlier today, casing my stuff differently. Corey's like, I'm gonna deny that.
And one of them is objectively wrong because that's not how you spell lookup.
Oh no, that's a long discussion. How do you spell lookup?
It's easy.
If it's a verb, it is look space up.
Yes.
If it's a noun, like if this is a lookup field, then it's one
It's
word.
one word.
I didn't know that. I would have.
There is an objectively correct.
Yeah, and that was objectively wrong.
Yes. All right. So now we have groups, and we're going to iterate over those, and we're going to look for each group. We're going to see if they don't have a meeting in that window. So we're going to look for a count of 0. Right. So on the meetup event table for date, we are going to do that same query we had, which was relative at or before. Yeah, I have to do both. On or before 2.
So John is suggesting a conditional trigger when last meetup was over 3 months ago. And then when when the thing is running, we can have an additional filter for do a lookup. Is there one scheduled in the next?
Yeah. The problem with that, Corey, is that there's not there's not a thing that would trigger to make it check that condition, right? Because
go create a scheduled job that ran the flow.
yeah. Yeah, you're back to that because it's not going to, there's not like an event processor that's sitting out there waiting for that condition to be true. You like the flow happens on either updated, created, or a time-based.
Gotcha. See, learn something new every day.
So at or before 2 months from now, or no, and.
I used to have the same mental model on workflow. Like I would set a workflow and a condition, and then I didn't realize why it never proceeded because I thought something was periodically going to check that, but there, you know, that mechanism that was in my head did not exist in the system.
You know what? Because there is a mechanism sort of like that, which the SLA engine uses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
It's one of them's ago and one of them's from now.
Okay, I see.
So on or after 2 months ago, and then on or before 2 months from now is what they should be after I have clicked them. So yeah, can you go away? How do I make you go away? Oh, okay. Here, how about I save you?
That's always the answer.
That'll make it go away. All right, so now for every group, this should look to see if I have a meeting within this 4-week window or 4-month window relative of today. And if, no, I need this inside of I need this here. If you can go away. I could have moved that one, but instead I shall just create a new one and trash the old one because that's how I roll today. So if, and this is where that count will come in really handy, right? And our conditions are none exist. And our condition is count is 0. We shall perform an action because we don't need to do anything if they have one. So we shall perform an action, which will generate an email. Send an email. Our target record is going to be from our for each lookup records, meetup event record. No, from our group record. We want group record. We're going to use this one. Lookup record, group record, for each record. And we want the organizer, the owners, email. Oh, target record, which is group record. Oh, I got too far too fast. The target record is the group record. The 2 is the group record's email address. Look for each record owners. Nope, come on. I hate you. I wanted enter to like drill in.
Yeah, you wanted to like reopen the.
I wanted to reopen in the context in which I lost it. That would be really great. That's an enhancement I have asked for. Owner is their email. All right, there we go. So the 2 is the owner's email. The subject is, we got a template from the person, but for today we're going to we're going to make it up. Schedule developer meetup reminder. And we have a template for this and we will use that, but for today we're going to just throw in some words like it looks like you have not had a meetup recently. Please schedule one.
So when you say we have a template, you mean we have a template we're using?
Yeah, we have a template already with the wording in it that we're already using, and we're just going to paste it in here.
So I worked with this particular send an email action kind of recently. And one of the things that I'm not sure about this, I don't like that it doesn't use a notification that is defined in the notification
table. I am right there with you. I'm like, why aren't all the notifications in the notification table? Like, please, could we get them all in the same table? So yeah, I have the same sense, and I felt the same way with the send an email from inside the workflow editor as well.
Oh, workflow editor does the same thing. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had the same frustrations there as you're like, which thing created this email so that I can then go adjust it?
Right.
And you have to go look in 3 different places in the platform.
So
and you can't leverage templates here either. Like
Uh,
I said the word template, but what I meant was predefined words that I'm going to paste in here
Gotcha.
and not use a notification template, which would also be really great to have right here.
So I suppose an option for that, we could throw an event and then
absolutely.
respond. Okay.
You could throw an event here and then use the notification table's ability to process events for that event to send its notification. So absolutely could. In fact, I probably would prefer that. But this is functional for now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail it.
That is the kinds of things that we actually like to do. Is that sort of edge case? My initial hesitation to do it here is that Flow Designer doesn't have an action right now for events. So you just have to write a script.
Put it in script that you're creating the event that you want to happen.
Okay.
We could build an action to do events.
I feel like we could do that really easy. Maybe that'll be in next release.
And this actually belongs.
For the purpose of this demo, I like it because it makes it more clear what's happening, right?
Oh yeah. It keeps everything in one place. That makes sense.
Wow. I need you to go under the branch.
Which is, in general, I mean, that's kind of the trade-off. Like, my role on this show is, like, I'm the clarity guy. Like, everything I'm ever about is about, like, making the intent clear, right? And so one of the, like, the event gives you a lot of power, but one of the things it does is it reduces clarity, because now you've got the actual thing is happening at a distance.
Yeah, and you won't see it, for example, in our execution. Like, you'll see that you fired an event, but you won't see the notification.
Right, because anything can react to an event.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So send an email, and if not, don't do anything. We're fine. Like, we're happy. So right now this trigger is on every 7 days. I probably don't want to send an email to the same person every 7 days.
So do you want to save a last emailed type thing?
So I've got 2 choices there, right? Is I can lower the frequency to something that would be reasonable, like a month.
But then you're only getting those emails sent out every month.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is basically what we're doing right now.
Yeah, but you want to be better than how you're doing it now.
So we do a check about every month or so to see if the health. So that wouldn't be.
I don't think that the frequency is not the problem. It's just the manual labor is the problem, right?
Well, for me, the manual labor just irks the crap out of me. So that's the part I definitely want to get rid of. That the frequency, I don't think it really will give us a lot, making it so right now, I think we'll just move this to a month, because I'm okay bugging them once a month, and it did not save my choice there.
Right. The danger with this, by going running this only once a month, is that since our query is like 2 months ago,
Yes.
We have people that'll be just on the edge of that, where like tomorrow they would have met the condition, but they
That's
don't
true.
get it today, and we won't be talking to them
Yeah.
for another month.
Okay, so there's two ways to attack that are jumping up at me. One is we can adjust our query to then exclude the ones that are close, or we can set something somewhere that we check. So we have a record that's got a date. I kind of lean towards excluding those records versus going and setting something somewhere, unless I need to report off of that easily. And I might want to report off of that easily or something.
I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't I actually wouldn't mind just a date.
I wouldn't mind a table that is like an email table.
Yeah,
It's
why
like
don't you just put on
group,
contact?
like basically like a group.
But
And
that's
last
not
email
a
date.
good idea. The thing that just popped in my head though is why don't we just keep track on the record, on the group record itself, how long it's been since they've had a meeting.
We could absolutely do that. So like a scheduled job that updates that every day or something like that.
It'll handle that based off of the
Based on
event.
the actual event record.
yeah. When an event comes in, we will update.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So wait. So they schedule an event 30 days out.
Yep.
So it's saying
So it says that
minus 30.
frequent is minus 30.
Okay.
And then, as time moves on, it becomes 0. And then later it becomes a positive number.
So what's
The day. Yeah, that would be a scheduled job to do that every day. But the resetting of it would be the event.
Well, no, because they have a new event come in that's scheduled like 60 days out, and then that will update the group, which was, had a positive number, said like, oh, it's been 35 days since the last one. But they insert that meetup that says that there's one in 2 weeks. So now at the insert of that meetup where it says 2 weeks in the future, then we update it and says, well, now it's negative 14. So all that we need is to run this every day and say if last was greater than 60 or whatever, like relative greater than 60, that means that not only have they not had one for 2 months,
Right, but
they don't have one scheduled.
But we still need a scheduled job to update that number every day.
What that doesn't solve is the frequency of email problem.
It actually does, because we just run it once. We can run this job every week, and we only run it one time on meeting the conditions.
I gotcha. Okay.
Right? So we can actually do that part. Is if it's run on, say it's run once a week, then the boundary is that it's greater than 60 and less than 68. If it's inside that, send the email. If it's not inside that, you don't send the email. I'm kind of liking that. But let's save this and run it against a record.
But if that's what you want to do, you can do that without all that other stuff. You can just do that in your condition there, right? By just doing the boundary there, like 60 days. And you can do that without any extra stuff.
I can. And that's what I was talking about was one of the alternatives was just bound my second lookup here on exclude the proximity. But the interesting thing to me about adding the field directly to the group is to then I can use that number as dashboarding, reporting, health color.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worthwhile keeping track on the group, what the last time they met was, or if they have.
Because we want to report on the groups and not the events, and so having the group have it direct.
Fair enough.
Will be useful. So let's run this, see if it worked. Before we run a thing, we should know what victory looks like. So we need to go look at what our expectation is, right? So we have meetup groups. So we've got currently 52 groups. And then events, let's take a look at events that have been date. in the last, I don't know. Well, we could do a similar query. Relative. I really just wanted to get, we'll just do the last 3 or 4 months, and that'll give me a rough idea of what victory will look like. So there's roughly 41 events in the last 3 months. So I would think that we had how many groups?
Just do a group by group. Can you do that?
What? No, I just don't remember how many groups we had.
52.
Yeah.
Something like that. 51.
52 groups. And so there should be at least 10 groups that fail this check.
Since we've only had 41.
Yeah.
So that sounds right.
So now I have a rough idea of what success will look like. Is that this finds between more than 8 and less than 20 of these groups. Because you should always know. So run our test.
Does it actually, oh, that's a lot of cursors. Does it actually run? It doesn't send an email, right? Like
We do have email turned off on this instance, don't we?
I don't know. I can check while you do that.
That will be really good to know. Yeah, good. It's off. Lovely. So, it ran.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, error. I love errors. Let's see what we got. Why did we get an error? So send email error. What did we error on? So we got through some of them. No, errored on all of them. So it looked up the records. So it got the groups. Come on.
I wonder if
It's not impossible that it's erroring on the fact it can't send the email, right?
It's possible. No email value for the Tokyo developer organizer.
See, there's no value.
There's no
for
value
owner
there.
email.
So that would definitely throw an error.
Well, got another conditional.
Yeah. So let's exclude organizers with no
owner.
with no email.
So we should exclude anyone where there's no owner or where the owner doesn't have an email.
Yeah.
Although
And
I
owner.
bet we can do owner.email.
I just clicking that little drop down is a little tricky sometimes. Email. It has anything or is not empty, and owner is not empty too.
Well, I think the first one will cover that.
Probably.
Through the magic of dot walking.
That will cover it through the magic of dot walking. All right. So if that's not empty, then let's do this. Yeah, sure. Hopefully. Did you make them angry? No. Okay. Let's run it.
Who's them in this scenario?
The computer.
Oh.
The system.
All of the magic elves running around in his laptop right now.
So in this case,
Little
the them being angry is, did me changing action 1, did it remove the data pills in some of the lower actions? Because that happens.
It took a nice long time. So that's always
That is a good sign. So we did not get an error, but we did not run that one on that one. Okay. Why did we not?
0 of 0.
Well, that's not reasonable because there are organizers with emails. I am sure of it.
Well, we should be able to do the same query, right?
Yeah. So groups. But we could just go look at one. Okay, the organizers aren't set in their groups. Is that the case for all of these? Because that will make me really sad because that shouldn't be the case. Oh, I may not have moved that data to this instance. So this is our brand new dev instance. And looks like I just didn't move that part of the data.
tell you what, Andrew, do you want me to quickly add a few?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that. I'll do that in the background here.
So what we were looking at in Flow Designer, this is helpful. 0 records returned. Yay! When there are no organizers in any of the things, none of their emails can match, and therefore that's perfectly reasonable response. I love the debugging that you can do inside of Flow Designer. While he is doing that,
I'm just going to start grabbing some at random and making myself the owner of all of them on this instance.
One of the new things where is...
Actually, I can do better than that. I'll just make myself the owner of every one of them. How about that?
Where's the session debugger? Why is it not here?
Which will have the added benefit of if it accidentally sends email, it'll all come to me.
Well, that is a great added benefit. I'm struggling why I don't see the session debugging here. There's a new debugger in New York, and it should be in this menu right here, and I'm not seeing it. Maybe I have to enable it through a plugin. I thought it was base, but...
The session debugger?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, every group has an owner now, Andrew.
Oh,
That's
it
right,
just,
that's
it just
right. It
launches
just
it.
opens
It just
now.
launches it.
That's right.
Okay. Well, that's great.
I remember when they demoed this. It's like, yes, that is exactly what should happen. I'm going
You
into
should
debugging. Just open
just
up the
open
debugger.
up the debugger. It's
Yeah.
not a separate, like, I was looking for a thing called the session debugger, and all of them are now session debugger.
That's right.
So that's good to know. So we will show this off at some future point when we need to do some debugging. So some exist now, good sir.
Every one of them has me as the owner. So.
You're the best. Let us check out our execution. We got 52 records. Sweet. Now let's see how many of these, if none existed, one of these, I'm zooming in a little bit too much for me to see. So there's the lookup and then the lookup. How many did this one get? Oh, I have to go through each of these. Yeah, so goodness. Let's just go check the email table.
This is New York, right?
Yeah. We will go to the outbox and just see how many were generated. That seems like, oh, I need to
54.
debug them all. $54 seems like too many.
That does seem like too many, doesn't it?
That seems like
Let's pick one that we like. Chicago that we are. I guess we can't. Can we easily?
That feels.
Figure out who.
Nope. That's all of them. So
There's nothing that distinguishes them, right?
there is. Maybe they weren't sorted by created. All right. Yeah, they were all generated at the same time. All right, so that's too many. So we did something wrong. So we matched too many. So that's one of these good things about knowing what victory looks like is when you fail, you know you did it wrong. So
can you in the email subject? Can you just throw the title, the name of the group?
absolutely, we can do that right now. Send an email, and we can say come on, right here. We can get the data pill for the lookup. No, for this one. Each group's name. Bam.
Thank you, sir.
Throw in a space for victory. I suspect it's just going to give us all of their names, though.
Probably so, but that will let us pare this down as we if
They
we.
said there were other emails that were not just the reminders.
Yeah, but there was more than 20 that were the reminders.
Yeah.
So I did sort them by created and went to the second page, and so there were more than 20, and our expectation was that it was less than 20. So if we go back to the email table and we say refresh, bada bing, we've got Dusseldorf, RDU, Phoenix, Copenhagen, Dallas. We got a lot of them.
So the one that I was keying in on is Chicago, because we know we had a Chicago last month. So that should, if Chicago's in that list, then the query's not right.
There we go. Chicago's in the list, so the query's not right. So we definitely have something in our secondary that is off. And look, it's the month ago.
The dang it goes.
As I said, one of them needs to be ago and one of them needs to be after, but I apparently failed. So the at or before from now is the one that, and then this one should be ago. Yeah, there we go. That's a better.
Sorry, I had to.
That's okay.
That was a toughie.
I love external validation.
Yeah. I just wish that the camera was on to see Brittany like
She was doing a little
oh, miming.
Yeah,
Miming my way
placing
through this
dates
problem.
mentally in the air.
Yeah, let's do.
It's the Chicago in me. I like use my hands when I talk.
Last
Mm-hmm.
Go. All right, you just hate me. Oh no, I had a. Oh me, I had a filter. Take off that one. None in the last minute because I took too long. Good job, everybody. So we'll just take that off and run. All right, so those are all the same. So we still got 20 of them. Those are all the same. So yeah, we still had a bunch, but we didn't have Chicago. Just the one Chicago one.
Ooh.
So that's promising, but it seems like there's still too many. Because I know Bay Area had one like yesterday.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete all of them, all the emails.
Oh, our data might be stale because this is our dev instance.
The data should be, it should have all the events in there. Let me double check.
Let's check. Meetup. All events. Date.
Yeah, see, it's got all the events in there.
Okay. So what did we do wrong then? So last 2 months.
Do you want me to clear out all those emails, Andrew?
Yes, please. That would be very helpful.
I will do that. And if you want to look at the query one more time.
Months ago, on or after, and come on, scroll, and date, relative. I like how this is not actually that tricky, and we are struggling.
Look, if we had done this all as a script to begin with,
we would
like we'd have been done by now,
Yes.
and it wouldn't have been half as instructive.
So we've got 35 that meet our conditions, which means there should be there can't be that many that don't meet our conditions. Did we do something tricky? So we matched on 35 and we want to not match in order to send this email. So there just shouldn't be that many groups that.
So there should be 17 emails approximately, 15, 16, 17.
And so group, and we'll even do a group by group to just make sure the uniqueness is 30 groups. 30 groups have had a meeting or is going to have a meeting within 2 months of today. Out of 52. So there should be 22 emails.
These are the ones that we want to not talk to.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
So there's 30 groups that we don't want to talk to, which means there's 22 groups we want to talk to. And we got more than 22 emails.
And then we got no emails the second time, right? All right. So did you test it one more time?
We can test it one.
All right. So right now I cleared out every email in the outbox for today.
We expect to see 22.
Expect to see 22.
So we shall run test. "52 groups, that's reasonable. Let us go over here to our email outbound table. And we shall have generated none. Well, that's not promising. Not run because evaluated false. False. Okay, so we did something horrible to our query. Let's see what we did horrible. Count is still there. That was my first worry, was that my data pill had been dropped. So it said we didn't meet our condition, which means that we failed. This count is 0. All right, so it's got to be something with our query here. Meetup events, relative on or before 2 months from now. So 2 months into the future, before then.
Is there anything in this? So what this query is also not doing is querying on the group, right?
It is not. Oh, it is getting the first record. It is querying the whole table every time.
Yeah, every time.
And finding a count that's not 0.
Yeah. So
Good catch there. We need to actually query on the group that this is why we didn't do it based off the meetup event directly, is because we are actually supposed to use the for each group record.
Nice. Well, we had more problems than just that initially, so at least we're getting further.
That is hilarious. And now
It's gonna work.
Now it will do something.
but I love the optimism. It's gonna work. It's gonna work.
So the first time the bad query turned up everything because it wasn't limited to the group, right?
Right. And so every time it
and then you fixed the query and it limited it to not the group, and then
I hit run test. But I'm feeling like maybe it didn't think I did.
You didn't click that, I don't think.
I felt like I did, but
You clicked the modal button, but not the test button.
all right. So I executed. Do we have
all right,
22?
you're gonna like this.
23. That's victory.
That sounds right.
Do we have Chicago? We do not. Do we have Dusseldorf? We do not.
RDU definitely needs an email. That's to me. So that was right.
Look, if the Tokyo group needs some help, I'll go out there.
Me too.
All right.
Yeah,
I think we can firmly declare this one victory at this point.
that is right in Victory Square. Off by one is a developer's paradise. That's where we live.
It's good enough.
Because that's good enough. All right.
Well, I noticed in your query where you had 30, there was one that had an empty group. So.
Oh, okay. So it made.
I think that's the one you're off. Yeah.
So cool. So now we know how to send a reminder email to a group. So we've got this process, and now we know how to query this, and we know how to duplicate this and query something different if we need, and not fail quite as hilariously the next time. We started a little late, but it's about that right time now. You good wrap up point?
Yeah, let us wrap up. So
I like wrapping up on victory. We don't always get to do that.
Yeah, let's not overstay our welcome here. All right. We've learned the hard way not to get overzealous.
The lighting in your room is hilariously struggling today on the virtual background.
Yeah, it looks like you have a weird portal to New York behind you.
You can see actually you can see sundown. You can see the sun lowering in the sky. So anyway, thank you very much. Let's go around the room and let's hear your thoughts on your Allagash White. You've got the
so my Allagash White out of the ServiceNow kitchen in the brand new Chicago office. It was a valid offering. I accept it. I like Allagash, and it's a 4. So we do out of 5 with the 0.525. So
okay.
What?
so
it's basically what you would enter into. It's what you would enter into Untapped if you were going to record this.
With quarters between the whole numbers.
Okay.
So 425 is acceptable.
So having been in San Diego for so long, I've been forced to drink only IPAs, which are way too hoppy. So it's very nice to be able to have a beer that does not taste overwhelmingly as if it was designed to last a 3-month journey from India to the UK. And I give it a 4.
All right.
Fantastic. So my mango Kolsch from Clown Shoes is pretty good. It was too close to, in my little mini fridge, it was too close to the freezer. So I've kind of got a beer slushy. So that kind of cost me a little bit. That's why if you have an eagle eye and you were paying attention when I opened it, it exploded, and I was here frantically mopping up the beer overflow. Pretty good. We got to give it the 1/4 point success bounce. So I'll give it a 4. I probably would give it a 3.75 otherwise.
Yeah, I was thinking 3.75, and then it gets that 1/4 pound.
Subtract a 1/4 point for my poor handling of the beer and add a 1/4 for the success, and
washes out.
It's a wash. All right. Thank you very much, Cory and Brittany. Thank you, Chicagoland. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And
Thanks, everybody.
And we will catch you again next time.